Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Bars McFarlane, the lead reviewer over at the One Man Band Hip Hop blog. Once again, I want to welcome you guys to the YouTube channel, and thanks for checking out. This is going to be the first review for the site, and it is going to be Alchemist and Evidence's known as Step Brothers Lord Steppington. This is the album that I've been waiting for a while now. These two, whenever they get together on a track, whether it's for an Evidence project or an Alchemist project, it's been magic. So as soon as they announced this album, I was ready. I was expecting it. It's been one of my most anticipated albums for quite some time now. And from the opening beat, the opening song, the opening verse, it did not disappoint. More Wins kind of set the tone for exactly what I was hoping for from the two. It comes in the hard-hitting drums, very Alchemist-esque, and then the smooth sample, and then Mr. Slow Flow comes on with just that vintage rap that has just made him one of the premier lyricists in the game. And as soon as his voice got on the track with that sample, I already knew what I was in for. Is everything that I expected. Alchemist comes on, does his thing. People can say what they want about Alchemist as an MC. I personally enjoy Alchemist as an MC, so that was dope to hear him rapping on the majority of this album. And he started off on the first track rapping. He got the second verse, so that was dope to hear. But yeah, man, they both did their thing on More Wins. Probably my favorite song on the album, actually. Evidence, Bullet in the Chamber, Wait Till They Get a Load of Me. Alchemist comes in with beat banging like it's blood related. And it's just, man, they just kind of set the tone for that caviar rap that they were talking about in interviews, where it's like they're on top of the underground and they're just kind of styling on you. So it definitely set the tone early, and then it goes with More Wins, and then it goes into Dr. Kimball, which is that vintage Muddy Water Street Alchemist sound that just has been Alchemist's sound for a while now, and it's dope to hear Evidence and some production like that. Then it goes into Byron G, which is similar in production, very hard hitting, very drum influenced, but they had the Damo feature and the Hooligans feature, which is the group Alchemist used to be a part of, which was weird though, because it said featuring the Hooligans, but it didn't have an Alchemist verse. He did the beat, but I wanted the Alchemist high pitched voice, kind of like how he used to for the Hooligans, so that would be really dope if he did that. That was kind of my only downfall of the track, but it was dope. Say what you want about Damo, he did his thing on the track. Style symbolizing my nastiness like a tramp stamp. I'm not the biggest Damo fan, but as of late, Damo's been doing his thing. No Idols was pretty dope. He's been doing his thing on features. He did his thing on Doris Earl's album, so he's been stepping it up here lately since he's been running with Alchemist and that whole West Coast camp, so that was dope to hear. What was next after that? Let me pull up the track list here. I believe it was Legendary Mesh, which is probably my least favorite song on the album. I didn't care for the beat. The sample wasn't necessarily my cup of tea, but it was a good song. Lyrically, of course, you're never going to question those two. Especially Evidence, but the beat just wasn't my cup of tea. So that was probably my least favorite track, but I definitely enjoyed it. I don't skip any songs on here. So it went, and then after that, it hit me with the first three tracks: the More Wins, Byron G, and Dr. Kimball. I'm sorry, More Wins, Dr. Kimball, Byron G, and it just was already exceeding my expectations. And then once it hit Legendary Mesh, I wasn't upset at all, but it just kind of killed the mood because the first three were so dope to me. But then No Hesitation hits, and that beat bananas. Evidence and Alchemist do their thing, but Styles P's voice on that beat, his flow, just took the cake for me, man. He did his damn thing on that. His flow was perfect. His voice was just perfect for that type of beat, and it really just picked me right back up to where I had picked up from Byron G after Legendary Mesh came on. But so I picked right back up. Swim Team Ross was dope. Mums in the Garage with Action Bronson. It was dope hearing Bronson on that type of production. Obviously, him and Alchemist did the Rare Chandeliers project, but this beat was a little weird for kind of not classic Action Bronson beat you would expect him to get on. I definitely think the beat outshined Bronson on this particular song, but Bronson he did the thing, but this beat wasn't necessarily something I want to hear him on all the time. And then after Mums in the Garage, I went to See the Rich Man Play, which was probably my second favorite song on here. Man, that sample, the whole film noir feel of it, and Alchemist comes on with his dirty, grungy flow on that kind of sparkly yet dirty beat, like I said, but it had like some flair to it. That was dope. Evidence does his thing, and then Rock Marciano just really came in and just put the nail in the coffin, and it's really dope because it sounds like something Rock would make for himself, and his wordplay on there, where it's like kissing the face of the tarantula, something. His wordplay on that whole verse was just really, really dope, and it sounded like something that he usually makes his own beats, and it sounded like a beat that he would rock for himself. So that was a dope verse, dope feature, and it was good selection on the feature to get him on that, and it really got me excited for Alchemist and Rock Marciano's joint album that's supposed to be coming in 2014. Then after that, it went to, what was next after that? Bangin' Sound with Fashawn. I was really interested in this song when I saw the track list because Fashawn is one of those rappers that I wouldn't necessarily call one of my favorite rappers, but he dropped probably my second favorite album of all time in Boy Meets World. That album is incredible. But ever since Boy Meets World, he's kind of, the last couple of projects I haven't really felt. I wasn't really a big fan of Champagne, Styrofoam Cups. I didn't really care for Grizzly City 3 too much. Had jams on there, but I wasn't really feeling them. I'm definitely ready for his next album, The Ecology. I've been waiting on. That's another anticipated album of mine. But before I stray away too far, I wanted to hear what he's going to do because his last couple of releases I really wasn't feeling. So he came in, and that was another banging beat. And then he's another rapper that kind of has a slow flow similar to Evidence, and he just bodied it as well. Him and Alchemist had a project, I believe in 08 or 09, The Anecdote, so it wasn't unfamiliar hearing him and Alchemist together, but it was definitely dope to hear Fash back on his kind of his roots, so it was dope. Fash did his thing. I wasn't disappointed. I was actually very happy to hear a dope Fash verse. Not saying that he didn't have dope verses on his other mixtapes, but I was just really let down by his previous two releases. So going into 2014, where I'm pretty sure he'll drop The Ecology, I hope, set the bar pretty high. Then my next favorite jam after that, and another one of my favorite, is Tomorrow. Listen, one thing you will learn about me is I am a Blue stan. Blue is probably my favorite rapper of all time, but Stannery aside, this was vintage Blue with a look into what I think Blue is going to start giving in the future. It was one of those verses that had hidden gems in it. It was one of those Blue verses that depicts street life, yet his life, and you had to dig for gems. It was a vintage Blue verse, but it had that kind of Rock Marciano pimp type voice inflection that he's been going to lately in his more street sound. That he's kind of been, the lane he's been going to is more street, whether it's veering away from his previous jazzy / soulful. But the way he flew on this, the syllables, his voice was really dope, and I'm really looking forward to Good to Be Home, which is supposed to be coming out this year. I'm expecting that type of street knowledge, yet different, more grungier voice inflection that he gave off in this, and his verse he really delivered. Raka did his thing on this as well, so that was dope. And then another one of my favorite joints that was towards the end was, I believe, I want to say the name is Buzzkill, the quote-unquote weed song, Buzzing Away. Had kind of like a old English, like, it's going to sound like Beatles sample to start off, and I was like, what? I didn't know where they would take this, and the sample's on Buzzing Away, and then they come in, the drums hit, and it's just complete beat switch. It was really dope. Like I said, it was a quote-unquote weed song, but the beat was so far left from everything else on the album that it really caught my attention. It was the second to last song, so it was a great way to end the album, to do a little something that was different from the rest. So that was cool. Another plus is, like I said, kind of hinted throughout the whole review, is the features. Features are incredible. Every feature fit perfectly, from Action Bronson to Oh No to Blue to Rock Marcy, Raka, Fash. Everything. Everybody had their place. Nobody did too much. Evidence and Alchemist, it was their project, but they allowed their homies, their West Coast homies, minus Action Bronson and technically Rock Marciano, to come on and contribute to something that is an album that I believe hip hop needed. It was just like they said in interviews, caviar rap. Like they believe that they're sitting on top of the underground. They're the lords of the underground. No pun intended, but this album really showed that. It was vintage Evidence, vintage Alchemist. They came together and they found a way to make it work, as they have when they've just done single songs on albums. So it was exactly what I wanted from start to finish. Like I said, there's probably only one song I didn't necessarily care for, but everything else, out of the 14 tracks, everything else was great. It kind of, in a way, I hate comparing things like this, but it really reminded me of a way in like a West Coast version of Run the Jewels. It didn't have the industrial, as aggressive sounds that LP brings when him and Killer Mike get together, but that's basically because of the sound that LP has created throughout his whole career, and Killer Mike's direction now, more aggressive, progressive type rhymes and sound. So, but what I'm saying is, if those two, it's a West Coast version of that, because you get the cool, laid-back rhymes of Alchemist and Evidence with the soulful, banging beat drums. And it's just kind of, those two albums just really, these two groups kind of remind me of each other, just from different places, and it's refreshing to hear hip hop with people coming together. That, I mean, you would expect Evidence and Alchemist. Obviously, LP and Killer Mike are two guys that no one expected when they came together, but when you think about it, it was awesome because they kind of give off the same vibe. It's the same thing with Evidence and Alchemist. They're both very different as musicians, but when they come together, it's like, man, that's a perfect fit. It makes so much sense. So that's what I mean in that comparison of a West Coast Run the Jewels. But as far as content and the sounds of the album, they're completely different. But I think you guys get my drift. Yeah, this album drops tomorrow, January 21st. Make sure you go get that. I do have mine pre-ordered, so I am fresh if the feds are watching. Yeah, I appreciate you guys watching. Stay tuned for more reviews, and I look forward to seeing you guys soon. Lord Steppington, go get it.